All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Zero Hour Squared Classics. I am Mike Trujillo. Joining us today is a very, very special guest, a legend, not only in metal, not only in thrash metal, but in all of music. I think one of the best vocalists that there is. Currently around, still touring, getting ready to embark on the Bass Strikes Back tour, which had been sort of postponed a couple of times due to the pandemic. But we're talking none other than the lead vocalist of Testament, Mr. Chuck Billy. Chuck, welcome to Zero Hour Squared Classics. How are you doing?
What's happening?
Oh, not much, man. Great to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. This is second time I think I've interviewed you. I've talked to Alex and various members, but it's great to have you back on. It's been a while. I think the last time I talked to you was during the Judas Priest Heaven and Hell tour.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's been a few years, about
2010, I believe. Metal Masters, I think it was. Or
Yeah. So it's been a little bit. So welcome back. It's great to have you. Of course, lots of great news going on revolving Testament, man. That there's so much that we're going to try to get to in a short amount of time. But first and foremost, tell us about the tour resuming and how I know it had been postponed, like not just once, but actually twice, kind of pushed back. Due mostly to the pandemic. So how does it feel to get ready to embark on this?
Well, it doesn't feel like the normal situation. I mean, we've been touring, for 4 years, something like that. And we never stay home that much in the summer. Usually we're gone in festival seasons in Europe during the summer. So we're kind of have like a routine every year where we're at and touring. Well, we never took a 2-year break ever. And so during the COVID, spending a lot of time at home, just like everybody else, you get really comfortable, and we got dogs and stuff, spent a lot of time with our animals and just being used to being home. And not knowing the unexpected out there, how people are going to handle it or who's sick and who's not sick and who believes in vaccines and who doesn't. I mean, that's all to each his own, but it's kind of, for me, I'm almost anxious because I've been home for so long. I've got comfortable. I'm sitting here, but I'm also excited to get back out there and finish something that we started, because we did the Titans of Creation record and had a whole tour laid out for us when we came back from Europe, but then COVID hit and we all came home sick. So all the tours got pushed back every year. And so we're excited, but I'm also a little nervous because I haven't sang on tour since I had COVID. And I don't know how my lungs are, once I get out there and play every day. So we'll see how it goes. But we're looking forward to just maybe feeling normal again.
Yeah. So from what I understand, I believe this show that you'll be playing here in Albuquerque is April 16th. And I believe it's already sold out. And of course, you're touring with Exodus and Death Angel, hence the Bay Area Bass Strikes Back tour, which is a great, great package. And I know everybody's been excited. I've been to a few shows here and there. I actually went to a big show in Las Vegas. Metallica and Billy Joel were playing a weekend. I didn't make it to Metallica, but I made it to Billy Joel, strangely enough. It was a great show, but it was so packed. You could tell the energy level of people just wanting to be out there. And that's got to be tremendous, especially for a high energy band like yourselves, where it's just, you guys are up on stage and there's stamina and it's just energy after, every second, and you're just, feeding off of the crowd. So it's got to feel really good for you, I'm guessing.
It does. And I was at that Metallica show and I felt the energy there. And cool. It was a great place to see them. And that was kind of our first really show to get out to watch. So it was good. I think, we're still kind of trying to be cautious. Like when we go on the road, we are doing like VIP meet and greet packs, but we're doing it like a sound check. So we're still kind of little distance, because if one person does get sick, the tour is pretty much done. There's no isolating or anything. We just all got to kind of like go home. Mm-hmm. So we still want to be a little protective. We're still going to kind of be in our own little bubble, but I still think, we had a chance to go out when it was lower capacities in a lot of the venues, but we all talked about it and said, if we're going to have to go out on tour and not hang out and live in bubbles and kind of like wave each other from each other's bus, and I go, that doesn't really sound fun. And I've talked to actually some other people that have been on tour and they were like in their own bubbles, and like, it was just so weird, and it took the fun out of it. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go do that. I want to go hang out with my bros from Exodus and Death Angel and have some fun like we did in Europe. So we all said, you know what, you're right. Let's push it off until things loosen up and we can kind of tour where we can have fun and be a little bit normal again.
That's great. So do you have sort of like a protocol, much like you see in these professional sports leagues where they do have a bubble, or you guys take a test maybe every 2 days, or, anything like that?
Well, we have tests and we'll take them, but the hardest part is, of course, the band members aren't going to be walking around the crowd, but we have our sound guy, light person, merchandisers. They're exposed to people. So those people we might have them take, tests, or like, if you feel anything, dude, say something. Don't feel embarrassed that, hey, I got sick. I'm gonna get kicked out of the tour. Just save the tour, if anything. Just say something,
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, that's the hardest part. But yeah, we are going to be like, I know when we were going to go out, we were like, okay, days off. The crew, you got to stay in the room. You can't go out and party and hit the town, and you can't go out there and hang out and bring it back to us, the next day. So at least things are lightening up. People can go out and enjoy themselves on their day off. But it's up to us as a band member. I will still kind of wear a mask, or, do what I can to kind of protect my own self.
Man, I've been doing interviews since 1986, and this was the last thing I ever thought I'd ever talk to somebody about, as a pandemic and protocols and tests and all this craziness, man. And what a year, the past couple of years it's been. And you released Titans of Creation in 2020, and that was kind of the real thick of it all. That was when it was like a lot of stuff was shut down and you couldn't go out and tour. But the album came out immensely. It's an amazing album. It's a testament album, and it's really, really. I mean, creating it in that time, what was that like?
Well, I mean, we wrote it all these before that. We had all our marketing and promotion started like in February, March. We already had the singles out. We already had the whole like 2 years of touring laid out, and we were geared up to like, let's go promote our new record. And we're feeling pretty excited about it because we thought it came out pretty good. We thought, I don't know what a record sounds like until we finish all the songs and put it together and sit down and listen to it start to back. And once I did that, we're like, wow, man, all these songs really kind of stand on their own. It's not just one vibe of a whole record. It had a lot of different vibes to it. And so that made it special for me to listen to it, to enjoy it more. So yeah, I mean, we're just looking forward to get back out there. We could have said, stop, don't put it out. Let's wait till things loosen up and do that. But at the time, we didn't know we were going to be down for 2 years. We thought it might be 6 months or something. Who knew? But we decided people are kind of stranded and trapped. Give them a record, give them something new to maybe take their mind off that. And that was kind of where we were coming from. But then 2 years go by, and here we are. We still haven't got to get out there and play it.
Right. It's a fantastic album, and I want to touch on so many subjects, but real quickly, World War III. Isn't it a trip? You and I, Cold War era kids. We're roughly about the same age, I'm guessing, and we remember in '86, 87, all those albums that came out. Voivod, all these bands talking about nuclear war and World War III, and here we are kind of on the threshold of it actually possibly happening. How kind of weird is that? And what is it that you want to get out in terms of the message of Testament in 2022 and all the trippy stuff that we've been going through?
Yeah, I mean, to where we were when we wrote The Legacy, like my first record with Testament, I got to participate in the writing, was The New Order. And of course, a lot of those songs were based on a lot of like Nostradamus predictions about things in the future. And it's funny that all them songs we wrote about came to be,
right.
And 3 Days of Darkness, all this stuff was kind of like, we lived it. We wrote it and we kind of lived it. And here we are now. And, of course, when I wrote the song World War III, it was for a song. And I came up with part of the lyrics, and, last thing I was thinking were, we're going to have a World War III at this day and age. It was almost unfathomable thinking that can't happen. You know, the whole world's too sophisticated and smart to get into something stupid like that.
Right.
And here we are, right on the brink of something possibly could go wrong for everybody. And so the song, I'm like, wow, you know, here we are again. We kind of wrote a song about the future.
Right.
And we're living it. We're here. It could be real. And so, but again, it made it for, I don't know, a good, I mean, it's something to talk about, you know, because it's like, how'd you know about that? What inspired you to write that? It's like, well, it was a song. I came up with a few lines and it just kind of worked into the World War III song.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable what we're living through, and it almost feels like we're all in this kind of weird dream together. I don't know. It's pretty bizarre. And I want to move on to some other big news with Testament. Of course, that's the arrival of Dave Lombardo as the drummer for Testament and the departure of Gene Hoglan, who was with you all for 10 years. Of course, no acrimony between the split. He just was tied up with other projects, as Gene is always doing. And, you know, you all were getting ready to do and embark on this tour. So how did it come about, though, Dave? Was it just kind of one of those things, hey, he's available, let's give him a call, he's friends of ours?
Well, first I want to just make it clear and be known for fans that think, oh, Gene left, you know, something that must have happened. Nothing happened. It's just, it was 2 years off. Gene was making plans to do Dark Angel and some other stuff. And of course, we're pushing back tours. And by the time our tour was booked and he had all his stuff booked, they were overlapping. So we're like, well, what are we going to do? I don't expect you to drop what you're doing, and you don't expect us to drop what we're doing. So we said, well, I mean, if you can't do the whole tour, maybe we should just have another drummer play on the tour. And we're like, okay, that makes sense. Let's do that. And so then we looked at all the tours coming up, and there was always something conflicting. So at that point, we're like, okay, Gene's going to go ahead and do that. But I would say I wouldn't count Gene out of never playing with us again. You know, when the last thing we seen Gene, we actually went and did a playthrough of the Titans of Creation with Gene after he made his announcement. So he made his announcement. We said, hey, Gene, we know you're leaving, but what do you think about coming up to the Bay and let's do a playthrough of the whole record on video so we can capture that? Sure, no problem. So he came up and we did that. And so there's nothing bad. And even Gene said, hey, man, you know, I know it didn't, our schedules conflicted, but if you don't have a drummer and I'm available, shoot me the dates. I'll play. So I would never count Gene out, you know, because and Gene's such a amazing drummer, the Atomic Clock. We can, like 8 months from now, give him a set list and he can show up tomorrow and be ready to play it. Right. That's how killer Gene is. He's a monster. So back to Dave. So once Gene let us know that he wanted to make an announcement, we're like, well, hold on a second. Let's let Testament prepare an announcement too, so we can do it together. So the people don't just see it one-sided and, you know, make their own opinions. We want it to be very clear that this is together. We're doing this. And so we picked like a Friday or something to do it. And that morning, I think it came out like 9 o'clock Pacific time. And Dave's wife seen the post by Gene saying, hey, Gene Hoglan just posted that, you know, he's leaving the Testament and they're looking for a drummer. Dave, call Chuck and call those guys, you know, see what's up. So I think not even like an hour and a half after Gene's post, I get a text from Lombardo. It just says Lombardo ? And I'm like, you got to be shitting me.
Nice.
And so I called Dave up right away. Dude, I would have called you right away. And of course, you'd have been our first pick, but you're in like 3 or 4 bands. You know, I thought there's no way we're battling Gene's scheduling and you got 4 bands. We're going to have nothing but just scheduling conflicts. And he said, well, you know, the Misfits aren't really playing that many shows when we can kind of work around them. Suicidal's not playing a lot of shows. We can work around that. And Mr. Bungle's not touring right now. So I'm looking for a gig. You know, he goes, I was getting ready to like send out, you know, resumes to people just so I can see if I can get a gig, studio, writing a record or going on tour. And then this came up. And the funny thing is that we've talked to Dave at shows or on tours or just passing saying, wouldn't it be great to go play like the Gathering tour in its entirety, like just do a small fun run? Because wouldn't that be great? We always said, yeah, that'd be great. Let's do it someday.
Yeah.
But we weren't ever in a position to say, hey, Gene, we're going to get Dave for 6 months and go do some shows. How do you feel about that? We thought that was kind of wrong. So we just, things happen for a reason, and Gene made his choice. Dave came aboard, and now here we are in a position to play that Gathering record in its entirety at some point.
Metal serendipity, man. And the weird part about it, or not even weird, I mean, the excitement level, the buzz, the minute that the announcement came out that Dave was going to be joining you on, on this tour and such, I mean, was unbelievable. I mean, it was blowing Facebook and all social media up, and people are very, very excited. And nothing at all. I mean, you guys have had some legendary drummers, Paul Bostoff, now Lombardo, Gene Hoglan, all the guys that you've had like 13 drummers.
A lot. Way too many. Way too many. But, we did reach out to Paul. Paul got back to us later after Dave committed. But, there's a lot of great drummers. We got a lot of great drummers. And one that was like right there, if you would have made a decision, we probably almost would have chose him before Dave even contacted us, because we were putting our feelers out before the announcement. But Chris Adler was one guy who was, who was ready to step up and commit. And then it just, the last minute came out to he just wasn't ready to do that. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, okay, back to the drawing board. And then we made the announcement, and then Dave got a hold of us.
Right.
So, it worked out great. We've had, Dave came up about 3-4 weeks ago. We had a week of rehearsals, and then he came up about 2 weeks ago for another week of rehearsals. And then he'll be up here next week for the final rehearsals with us. And it was just fun hanging out and, just catching up. And, so it just felt like, putting on an old pair of shoes you haven't worn for a while, nice and broken in and comfortable.
Maybe I play this into my head. Maybe a lot of fans do, and it's kind of the lore, the history of California metal and thrash. Is there any of the still a competitive spirit between the NorCal and the SoCal, guys? Like, I mean, I know Gene's from LA.
No, I don't think, not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, of course, when we were early starting our careers and everybody's fending for themselves, trying to gain popularity, I think where we, or myself at least, threw all that out the window was after like the Gathering, after I had cancer, and actually got to play music. Because when I was ill with cancer, I didn't think I was playing music anymore. I'd look in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. I lost all my hair and everything, and I didn't see the lead singer of Testament. So I thought, it's done, it's over. But then we had a reunion with the original guys, Louis, Alex, and Greg. And so it was like, whoa, this is like kind of like, all right, I am going to get a second chance, and I'm getting to start something or finish something that I started with the same guys. So it was really a cool opportunity. And that kind of made it like, okay, we're going to carry on with this. And then, of course, Louis and Greg, left the band, and not on bad terms either. Louis had some health issues with, playing the drums. So we just kind of said, okay, we're going to continue. But that kind of really put us back into being a band again. And the competition went out the window. We started writing records for ourselves, like the Formation of Damnation. We were writing for ourselves. If it felt good with Alex and it was all good, that's all that matters. We're getting the opportunity to play. We're writing records. And, when Alex came back and it was just supposed to be for like some shows, and it ended up turning into, here he's been with us for 15, 16 years since then. So I think he's been in the band longer now than he was originally.
Oh, wow. It's crazy how time works out that way. Got a couple more quick questions. Unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go here soon. But the Zazulas, Marcia and John, both recently passed away in this past couple of years. And I want to give you and extend you my condolences, because I know they were very close to you. They were friends and practically family, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
You did a voiceover for an audiobook that John had put out. Tell us what they meant to you and how integral they were to the metal society.
Well, I mean, of course, they're a big part of the metal society, finding Metallica and having, I guess the balls to put everything on the line when they're working at owning a record store to let's throw some shows and let's bring these guys from California and bands like Raven and Venom and all these bands. They gathered and started his label because there was nobody who was going to take it. So he said, Johnny was that kind of guy. If I can't find a way, I'm going to make a way to make it happen. And that's what he did with Megaforce Records. And I give a lot of props to Maria Ferrero, Metal Maria, because she's the one who pestered Johnny to sign Testament. She was on him like, you got to sign him, you got to sign him. And he did. And so I'm grateful to Maria. But me, Johnny, and Marcia always had a special relationship, even when we went straight to Atlantic Records after Megaforce. We always kept in contact with Johnny, and me and my wife would always go on vacation to British Virgin Islands or Mexico or somewhere with Marcia and Johnny. So we've kept in real tight situation, and Johnny's always guided me. Then later down the road, we started a management company together and managed some bands, and you know, up to 3 days, you know, I had actually went and seen him maybe about 2 months before he passed, and you know, talked to him about 3 days before he passed. He reached out to me, told me his situation. And of course I thought, okay, I better hurry up and get out there. But he's like, you know, I didn't know it was going to take a turn that quick. And by 3 days later, he was gone. So it was really hit hard on me and in the world. But, you know, Johnny, he was a thinker. He always thought outside of the box. And again, if something he couldn't find a way to do, he just found a way to do it himself.
One of the things, when I think of Chuck Billy, I always think of not just the vocalist of Testament, not just a pioneer in metal and in thrash and somebody who's a hard worker with the rest of his band, but I also think of the accolades that you received, what was it, 10 odd years ago. You were in an exhibit at the Smithsonian Museum, and it was Native Americans in metal and in rock and entertainment. And one of our own was included in that, the late, great Randy Castillo.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I always think about that. And I always love to give you props and praise for that. And when I talk to people, I was like, did you know Chuck Billy was involved in that? How meaningful is that to you? And how do you still kind of like to influence younger artists, particularly Native American, Hispanic, young men and women of color?
Well, I was very proud of that, because to accomplish that as a Native, first of all, to be in such a recognizable display, and it was actually called Up Where We Belong, and it was Native Americans in pop culture, right? So that's kind of where we all were. But that was an honor, and it was an extra privilege for me because my grandmother's in the Smithsonian, because of our tribe, and just known for basket weaving. So she has some of our tribe's baskets in the Smithsonian. So it was kind of cool, like 2 generations in the Smithsonian together was even a better accomplishment for our family. Right. You know, so that was even something special. But it was great. And I believe it's still up there. And then they actually moved it to a couple other museums in New York and back to the Smithsonian.
Congratulations on that and to your family, man. What are the odds of that? That's very, very cool. That's very cool. Couple more things and then I'll wrap it up. I know you've got Chuck Billy's World. It's a YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with that.
Well, the Chuck Billy World's on a YouTube channel. Is actually, I collected and gathered a lot of posters and just things from day one when I toured. I was always grabbing the posters or any flyers that they left. I'd bring them, and I just been sitting on them and saving them for 30 something years. And I finally said, what am I going to do with this? I got multiple copies. What am I doing? I better just share this with the fans. So I started something called Chuck Billy's World, which I was selling, as you can see in the background. A lot of the posters I have here, I got doubles of, and people were just being able to buy them. But I shut down the store just because I got a little too busy to handle it and do it. But I'll probably open it back up, because I still have a lot of stuff. Right. And it was something fun to do and keep me busy and keep me connected to the fans.
It's fun to reminisce too, right? When you see all that stuff, you're like, oh man, I remember that tour. I remember that night. I remember this, or whatever craziness happened, right?
Oh, it was craziness. I'm sitting with my wife and we're finding photos of, probably, girls and naked women and just stuff. We're like, oh shit! Oh, I forgot about that. Holy shit! You know, it's like,
that's awesome.
It was fun and it's funny, and you know, looking back and laughing about it was kind of cool.
Cool. And lastly, you guys got a new beer, right?
We have a beer that's just a Titans of Creation. That's just a one-time brew that we're making here for the relaunch of the tour and kind of let everybody know about the album again. You know, it's called Titans of Creation. But we're actually talking to first Native American tribe that has a first distillery in America, tribe up in Washington State. We're still working out the details, but I could probably, you know, talk about it. Is that, you know, when they went to open the distillery, the Bureau of Indian Affairs came and said, hey, you can't do that. And so they had to actually go and take it to Congress to get something that was in a treaty over 150 years ago removed. So now they got the okay, they built the distillery. So now it's going to be the very first Native American distillery in America ever. And they're going to make a testament beer and whiskey. So we're working on putting that. It's going to get worldwide distribution. And so everybody will get to enjoy it.
Very cool. All right. Well, hey, man, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you for indulging us a couple of extra minutes over time. The tour is the Bass Strikes Back tour with Testament, Exodus, and Death Angel. It will be rolling through Albuquerque April 16th. I believe it's sold out, but if you can find a ticket or something, make sure you get down there. Chuck, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and we'll see you here in the next couple of weeks, man. Thank you for coming on.
Right on, Mike. We'll see you, man.